Hey Dan, welcome to the MasterCard Cup. Just want to give you an opportunity here to view your swing at regular speed. We'll let that play on through. We'll put you back in your dress position, and we'll go ahead and take a look at a few things for you. So while we've got you back here in your setup, let's first of all just take a look at your posture, which looks really, really good. Spine's nice and straight and on a good tilt. Legs come down into a nicely unlocked position. Arms hang down nice and naturally off the tilted spine. Club works out to the ball. So really, really good posture here in association with good balance as well. Let's go ahead and pay attention to your alignment. We see your feet are aiming too far left in a closed stance. Theoretically, your club face is supposed to run parallel to your feet. Parallel lines on camera will have an appearance to converge. So even with that philosophy in mind, we can see that you're definitely set up right at the edge of this big tall tree on the left, which is really working its way down the left edge of the fairway, meeting the left rough. So we're going to have to see some form of compensation in your golf swing that's going to try and get the ball back to the center of the fairway. And that means you're either going to swing the club on plane and then have to flip the hands to impart left to right spin on the ball, and then hopefully start the ball somewhere at red or just inside of red, and then by creating left to right spin on the ball, hopefully be able to create some sort of a draw or strong draw back towards the center of the fairway. If you don't do that, then you're going to come over the top and you're going to attack the ball from outside to inside and hopefully be able to pull the ball back towards the center, and we'll get a chance to see what you do here in just a few minutes. Let's go ahead and do a little split screen comparison between you and Jordan Spieth. We'll flip them over to left-handed. I have some color-coded lines on the screen just to use as a visual reference as it pertains to swing plane. As we watch Jordan initiate his takeaway, he creates good shoulder rotation, bring the arms and hands back as well as the club. We want to see the club coming back on plane directly along the red line. Also, in the early stages of the golf swing, we want to incorporate some good wrist hinge into play, which means that we need to transition the club head currently from below and in front of our hands to getting that club head above and behind the hands. This is a really important transitional hinge right here. And we can also see that that golf club stays right on the red line. From here, we would now work the club from red up towards the blue-yellow V zone. When we finally set the club at the top of the backswing, we either want to have the right arm in the club situated on yellow, anywhere in between the blue-yellow V zone, or physically up on blue, as we can see with Jordan Spieth. We also want to have full shoulder rotation. We want to do this about a very stable left leg, all the while maintaining good posture that we achieved at address. Let's watch you initiate your takeaway here. You draw your hands back really nicely. You do pull them inside a little bit, but part and parcel that has to do with the fact that you're set up closed. So it's very natural for people that are set up in a closed stance to bring this golf club underneath this plane line. Hopefully we start to see some wrist hinge here occur shortly to take that club not only in behind the hands, but we need the club head above the hands, and we're a little late with that wrist hinge and getting that club head above the hands here. Okay? At this point in time, we see the arms are a bit congested to your core. Your left inner tricep is cemented against your rib cage, so we're really not creating an extension when we come back with the arms, and that's going to cause us to swing our arms into a very shallow position with that inner left tricep staying right against your rib cage there. We now have good wrist hinge. The club's in good position relative to your arms, but again, we do see that the backswing gets set quite shallow here at the top. You have a really good turn, nice stable left side, maintaining your posture, creating a rotational movement off of the maintained spinal axis. The arms are still in good geometry relative to your core. You just set those arms too shallow. We'd like to see that right arm get a little bit more upright and get that arm up on the yellow line. You don't have to get it to blue like Jordan. I actually prefer amateur players to stay a little bit more shallow than steep because it makes it easier for us to come into the ball from on plane. From here, your club's in good position relative to your arms as well. As we go ahead and create our transition back into the ball, looking at the left side of the screen, simply want to move our weight from our left foot to our right. We want to fire our knees and our hips laterally to the target, unwind the core and fire the hands. And in doing so, we need to make sure we're bringing the club from wherever we set it in that blue-yellow V zone, that we're getting the club to return back to plane. And that's exactly what we see here with Jordan Spieth as well. What we want to take a look at is a relationship between the lead form and the golf club. I refer to this as the check mark position. Simply means the club head right now is remaining above and behind his hands coming into the hitting zone. this is what's going to allow us to create a lot of power in our golf swing. Let alone also his ability to hit the ball straight, because as we've already noted, the club has returned back to plane, which is a main criteria in producing straight golf shots. Okay? One thing I want you to notice, if we go back down to address, and we talked about how imperative it is to create that wrist hinge to take the club head currently from below and in front of our hands and getting it above and behind. Notice we have the exact same backwards check mark. So he just returns right back into this position. He goes up to his blue-yellow V zone, starts his downswing, and returns this golf club right back into that backwards check mark. So this is the most important aspect of the dynamic move. With you being set shallow, I got a feeling you're going to bring this club into the ball from a really good location. Probably likely you're actually going to attack the ball too far from underneath the plane, and that comes with certain consequences. So let's watch your transition back into the ball here. You got a little over the top move, and you have room to afford that, so that's fine. As long as we don't keep sending those hands over and throwing the club head away, which we don't right here. So this is really, really good. Bring it down one frame? No. Okay, so right here, if we take a look at the lead form and we take a look at the golf club, you got your backwards check mark. So creating power in your golf swing is not going to be an issue. The other great thing is the club is returned back to plane. And I expected this to happen. So this is a really, really good position. But because you set your arm shallow to begin with at the top, they're very likely this club's going to fall underneath the plane. Because Jordan's moving from blue down, it's easy for his club to return to red and not get underneath. If he had set his arms on yellow, he probably would come underneath. Or if he set his arms where you set them, he's definitely coming underneath that red line. So let's go to the next frame. So there we are, we're underneath the plane. And we get to the ball. So the only issue with the club falling underneath the plane, and you really haven't fallen underneath all that far. So this really is not that big of a deal. But the reality is, hey, when you are underneath the plane, you're attacking the ball a little bit too far from the inside. And what's the miss? Well, the miss is a block to the left if we don't square the club face up. So we can see with Jordan Spieth on the left side of the screen, his club returns to plane and then attacks the ball from the red line. So he's going to hit the ball dead straight relative to his alignment as long as the club face squares up via having a good grip. We already know with you that you're aimed where? Yeah, you're already aimed out to the left. So if the club returns to plane, you have the ability to hit the ball straight based on this alignment. Well, that's a problem. The second problem is the club actually fell underneath the plane. So now the miss is where? It's left of the yellow flag. So now you can block the ball left of where you're aimed. So now there's a bit of a double problem. So the only criteria left in your golf swing here is the club face. So what's your club face going to have to do at impact? Well, it's going to have to shut down very aggressively so we do not lose the ball out in this direction, or obviously block it to the left somewhere. Okay? So your mind knows, hey, we got to get the ball over here. You're set up, obviously, a little bit too far left. You're coming down on a really good plane. You better flip your hands. So let's see what happens. And you do. Look how close that club face gets. So you're not starting the ball where you're aimed. You're not blocking the ball based on attacking the ball from inside. So that club face is really, really closed. Because it's closed, you have a very low launch angle because you're de-lofting the club. So at this point in time, I mean, your golf ball is headed right here. I'm not sure how long we can track it for, but clearly for the ball to start there, the club face was closed. So this is just going to continue to go further right on you. And I don't think you're going to hit the center of the fairway because that's going to draw away from the center and work its way towards the bunkers on the right and towards the rough. Okay? As you carry yourself through, a really good finishing position. I mean, overall, super athletic golf swing. Your hands work real well. They come back, they fire through. Your core works well. You coil, you uncoil. You got superb footwork that allows you to get through to a good finish. I mean, golf swing is very, very athletic. But the reality is, unfortunately, if we want to be consistent and we want to hit straight golf shots, three things we need. We have to aim well. We got to bring the club down on plane. And we have to square the face up. Unfortunately, in your case, where are we aiming? Too far left. Automatically now you got to compensate. Usually that's an over-the-top move. In your case, you don't. You come down pretty much right on plane. So I don't even care you're slightly underneath the plane. That's not really your biggest issue. That's very, very minor. So we're aiming way left, club's coming down on plane, and now you've got to compensate by flipping your hands too much, and in this particular swing you did, and you're hitting a low pull hook. Okay? Obviously, at times, if you leave that club face a little bit more open, you don't over-release it, you'll get better trajectory. The ball won't move right as aggressive, and you will find your intended target for sure. And at times you will. But it does require an immense amount of timing. When we aim well, bring the club down on plane, and we have a good grip to square the face up, it requires very, very little timing. Okay? And then even if the timing is off, the good thing is when we aim well, swing it on plane, and have a decent grip, it's tough to really have wayward shots, and our right to left discrepancies are reduced immensely, and that's where consistency comes into play. Anyways, at any point in time, if you ever want to work on any of these aspects of your golf game, certainly feel free to reach out. I'd be happy to structure a little program for you. Also, if you're involved in any golf tournaments at all, you guys are looking for a unique gift to give your guests, feel free to touch base. I'd be happy to discuss my swing analysis services. Anyways, hope you had a fabulous day, and I hope you enjoyed getting an opportunity to see your swing on video here. Take care.